Welcome to Neon Pocket Dimension, a small, lovely dimension in which all things spooky exist in harmony. This week, horror movie.
So, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Neon Pocket Dimension. I am your host, Gage, Luke, aka Luke Shot First, and we are here for another spooktacular episode in the month of October on the Neon Pocket Dimension podcast. I'm joined by four lovely gentlemen. We have a special guest, but first, he is the producer supreme, the dungeon master himself, Jacob Jones, aka OM Jesus. What's up?
Hey, I don't know if I put a little too much wind in this intro song, but it feels like we're in a storm, and that's how I want it to feel.
We are in a storm. Yeah.
I'm okay
Just so you know. All right, perfect.
I'm good with that.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
I'm really excited.
Yes, I am as well. And then we have the big bad Bombadino boxcar Miguel himself. What's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? How's everybody?
Oh, yeah. Excellent. And then we have the sexy singer himself, the singer bro over on the far right there. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going? So, I also think I want to make an addendum to the intro for Jacob. He needs to be the 5-minute gamer as well.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Thank
Also
you.
need an emote
Thank you.
for that.
That's
You're
true.
right.
We were talking
Yeah,
about this today. Where's our 5-minute gamer emote? Give it to me.
Wait, don't I have a 5-minute
I
gamer?
almost feel like he just should be the 5-minute gamer. Just
I mean, I am.
Well, wait, I
his
have this.
face.
I have
you're
this
not the
emote.
dungeon master here. You're the 5-minute gamer. You are.
Oh, yeah, you did. There is an emote. Oh, wow. Now I feel like an asshole.
I was like,
I feel like an asshole. That's what I thought too, but like I let my sub I was broke, so I didn't resub. I couldn't check.
Speaking of which, no, never mind. Let's get our guest in here. We have a wonderful and qualified person to talk about all things horror and horror movies tonight. We have Joe Mertens. What is up, dude? Thank you for being here.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hell yeah! And let me make sure I got the podcast right. It's Murders with Mertens, correct?
That's right, Murders with Mertens, a horror film podcast.
Oh yeah. We'll have you introduce yourself in just a second, but let me do a little housekeeping first. This is Neon Pocket Dimension. We're streamed right here on twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension, 7 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday nights. And if you miss it live, you can always check it out on youtube.com/@ Neon Pocket Dimension, where it comes out on Fridays as a VOD and podcasts on podcast services around the globe. If you like our stuff, give us a like, give us a subscribe. And if you want to write in to be featured, questions, comments, concerns on the show, you can write into neonpocketdimension@gmail.com or check us out on Twitter at NPD Squad, and we'll be right there for you. Couple of little housekeeping things on the channel, on the Neon Games Gaming Dimension channel. Right now we have the Steam Next Fest demos preview that Jacob did yesterday. That's out there, the first batch of demos that you sampled. You're going to do any more, or do you think that's it for now?
Oh man, we got a busy week. We're doing this tonight.
You're muted, sir.
You're muted, Jacob.
How am I mute? I wasn't muted to the stream, just to you guys. I need to turn this hotkey off. I'm sorry. I'm really excited. Really excited for this week. A lot of content going on. All right. We got this night podcasting. Probably don't have time to do it. Tomorrow, podcasting on Joe's podcast.
Excellent.
Probably don't have time to do more demos, which is cool.
That's fine.
Friday,
That's fine.
we're doing On Valley Tavern. Apparently,
I was gonna get
some
that.
special guest is coming to the studio. I don't know who it is. Definitely won't have time for that.
I know who it is.
You know who it is. What the fuck?
Fuck yeah, dude. I had a hand in this.
Oh, this is
anyway.
exciting.
Yeah.
So something going on. And then on Saturday, it's my cousin's wedding. So I'm like, man, when can I play more demos? So I tried to pack as many as I could in last night. And you should check it out. My favorite game is, you're going to have to watch it. You're going to have to figure out which one that is.
There were some good ones on there. I scrubbed through the stream today, and yeah, there was some cool stuff.
I may check out some on our stream here throughout the week if I can set up a stream. That would be
Yes.
good too. So
Yes, I set up a
Party on.
doc so then they know which ones I've tried, and then they could try other ones. So hopefully we get some more of that content, because we like to support the indie, developers as much as we can. I've had a couple indie developers like send me links and codes and shit, and so I definitely want to try those out, especially. But just letting you know, remember, it's indie devs make awesome games, and when you have a chance to play any of their demos, try it out. You might find your new favorite game, which I did last night. Watch it. Just saying.
Hell yeah. And yeah, as you said, the other bit of housekeeping, there is going to be an Odd Valley Tavern tomorrow with, of course, you, Miguel. And
Friday.
the
Friday.
Beloved Friday. Sorry.
Friday, yes, Friday.
Friday with you, Miguel, and the beloved Mochi Squeeze herself. So yeah, check that out. And then apparently teasing a special guest, which is very cool. So hell yeah, that's a housekeeping for tonight. But let's have our guest introduce himself. So tell us about your podcast and what you do on the in the fun internet lands, Joe.
Well, Murders with Mertens, a horror film podcast. I bring on a guest on the show, and we discuss one of their favorite scary films, using the plot to sort of guide us along,
Nice.
like several other, film podcasts that I'm sure you listen to or are aware of, but also just the fun of bringing the guest film to the conversation ensures that, they're kind of excited about it.
Yep.
I know Jacob is fairly excited about what we're about to talk about. We'll maybe, leave that towards the end of the show to let everybody know what that's going to be. But yeah, it started about 2.5 years ago. But before that, when I was just, kind of hanging out in the Kind of Funny community, there was a best friend who reached out and said, "Hey, I'm starting a podcast, and I would love to know if there are, a bunch of other horror fans out there." And this was about 5 years ago. And lo and behold, that podcast became Nightlight, a horror movie podcast, and it grew a pretty fun audience. And I was somebody who was listening from the beginning and really a big supporter of theirs. So much so that apparently they decided to devote my birthday month to me in 2021.
Nice.
All cosmic horror. It was interesting. And I decided, well, shit, I just gotten a new MacBook at the time, and I happened to realize, well, crap, I still have a copy of Final Cut Pro because, Apple, you buy it years and years ago.
And you have that license somewhere.
There. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, well, why don't I make some, fun little thank you videos for each of these episodes? So I started doing that. And later on that year, a lifelong friend of mine's like, you're really passionate about so many things. You ought to just throw your own hat into the ring with the podcast realm. And I thought, well, yeah, that's great and everything, but what the hell would I do? And then sitting in on one of Mark Freeman's Zoom calls, which, wow, was he really throwing himself into that during the worst of the pandemic and doing God's work there because, it was a rough time, right? But yeah, I got some good encouragement from him and some of the other folks sitting in those calls. And lo and behold, by the following February, I had something that, kicked it off with Madeline Stanley as my first guest.
Heck yeah.
It was all downhill from there. I like to joke that I collect, trogs like Infinity Stones ultimately as guests because there have been a good number of members from the community that have joined on the podcast. And just had my 50th episode out, about a month or two ago. This has not been the best year for me cranking out content, but I've got some stuff in the works, and not the least of which is Jacob there.
Hell yeah!
But yeah, we got some fun stuff coming down the pipe there.
Well, that's awesome.
That's basically it.
I do remember one of our guests. We do a thing at the end of the show called Endorsements, and you were endorsed by one of our guests. I want to say it was PJ Woodward, Philip J. Woodward.
Oh yeah.
So that's possible. I think that's what it was.
He was on episode 50.
Okay. Yeah, it could have been him, or it could have been. I forget, but I think it was him. Anyways, him and I used to live in the same town, so he was on our podcast once, and then him and I have met up before. But Yeah, cool guy. Anywho, well, that's awesome. We're stoked to hear about it. And yeah, Madeline Stanley, who was just a kind of funny up and comer, which was pretty cool. And I saw your clip in Robert's video that he sent in on the stream there. That was really cool. So heck yeah.
That was a neat project. I was very happy that he hit me up for that, and then I harassed the hell out of a few people to help him get a little bit larger crowd together, and that was fun.
That's epic. Right on. All right. Well, now we are going to kick to the WYBNOO, and that stands for What You've Been Nerding Out On. Joe, I usually like to kick to the guest first, so just anything you've been nerding out on. But first, we're going to hear the WYBNOO jingle.
It's that time of the week for the nerds and the geeks. WYBNOO. What you've been nerding out on. It's been a week, 7 days, and we got much to say. So take it away, no further delay.
Hell yeah. That is that sound means that it's time to start the WYBNOO. That's right, the patented WYBNOO. That is what we've been nerding out on. I like I said, I like to kick it to the guests. So anything. It can be movies, it can be video games. It could be, we've had brew makers being nerding out on that. Anything you've been nerding out on, just let us know.
I got a few things, but first and foremost, the thing that has sunk its claws into me particularly hard over the past couple of weeks, Dan to Dan.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
I've heard it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Such a fun little horror sci-fi anime to the point where there's only 2 episodes that you can see on Netflix or Hulu at the moment. But oh yeah, I had to go seek out the manga immediately. And that's not something I typically do. It's I definitely splurged on a couple of volumes of that already. But
awesome.
Holy crap, is it fun. Yeah.
Can you give us a brief like premise or
well, you got a couple of kids in high school who one is a big believer in UFOs and other types of paranormal phenomena like that. The other is all about ghosts and spirits. And neither one believes in the other's fandom. So they challenge each other. The girl Momo, she's got the guy going to this haunted tunnel where meanwhile he sends her to an abandoned hospital that's supposed to be a UFO hotspot, and well, he ends up getting possessed while she ends up getting abducted.
That's awesome.
They come together and fight off these entities, and wackiness ensues. It's just a little over the top horny in parts, in some of the funniest damn ways. Basically making fun of it itself. Nice. It's a good time.
Nice. A couple of animes have been doing that recently with, like, Chainsaw Man has a bit of that in it as well. Awesome. I've heard a lot about this. I definitely want to check it out.
It's absolutely worth it. And then just this past weekend, My Hero Academia wrapped up for the season. Sad to see that end, but there's a new movie out, so I'm gonna try to go see that tomorrow, I suppose. Uzumaki, holy shit, that's been fun and disturbing, and The Penguin. Holy crap.
Oh, nice.
Super Sopranos coded, and I love that. Desperate to spend some more time with Metaphor Refantasio, but life and, watching horror movies has gotten in the way of that. But being that I pumped somewhere in the neighborhood of about 250 hours into Persona 5 Royal, I'm sure I will be spending some time. Well, you fuck up the school year and you don't get that third semester, and I wasn't safe scumming appropriately, and there you have it.
There you have it.
So, I can imagine spending some quality time with that game.
And my computer crashed, and we're back again. There you go.
You know it.
That was for my edit later.
I like that. Yeah, you got to do. I do the wavy hands, so that I can, as I'm scrubbing along.
So lame.
All right. Well, jumping off of some of what Joe said, I'm going to go for my WYBNOO this time around because I some of the similar things. as far as Metaphor ReFantasio goes, I've been playing a ton of it. I am fully addicted and into this game. It's totally got its hooks in me. I wasn't sure if I was going to jump in. I got about maybe 25 hours into Persona 5, and then I was playing it on my PlayStation 4, and then I gave that PlayStation 4 to my nephew because he couldn't get PlayStation 5s at all when they came out, and he didn't have a PS4 either. So I was like, well, here, this will tide you over until you can find a PS5. So I gave that to him, and then I didn't have a PlayStation for a while. So I just kind of like, bowed out of it. Now it's back on Game Pass, but I'd have to start it all over again. So I was like, do I want to play Persona 5 Royal? Because it wasn't Royal at the time either. But I was like, you know what, let me just start with a fresh game. I'll get back to Persona if I still have the itch. But yeah, so jumped into Metaphor, started with the demo, absolutely adored it. And then I'm going forward with the full game. So that's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing. It's just like scratching an itch right now. I've really been wanting something post Elden Ring DLC to like grab me, and nothing had been. I've been like in that gaming, weird interlude spot where nothing was really like vibing with me. But this game has just got me going. The Hieronymus Bosch enemies are just so cool. All the main characters are really awesome. The archetype system is a really fun combat system. So I'm loving it so far. And I just the setting of the world is really cool, and just the combat, the fast pace, like team tactics and stuff. It's exactly what I want right now. So I'm very excited. Is anyone else playing this in the group right now? Nope, no one yet. All right.
It was this and Dragon Age, so I'm waiting for Dragon Age. So
I do really want to. Oh, I'm going to see what happens with Dragon Age. If it comes out and everyone's like, you got to play this right now, then maybe I'll jump over. But yeah. We'll see. But this game is going to go on for a while, so no matter what, I'm going to have to be checking in on it for a minute while other games come and go. That's it on the gaming side for me. But as far as other stuff I've been nerding out on, Uzumaki as well. I watched episode 3 a couple nights ago. Regardless of the internet's been like talking about the dip in quality of animation and things like that after the first episode, I still think that the writing's there, and the imagery in general is still really evocative and cool. And
Big
like
time.
While some of the conversations or like walking animations look a little janky, if I kind of just like don't trip on it, I'm watching it on my iPad and stuff in bed a lot of times too, so it's like I just haven't really been affected by that, and it's still really good, and I'm into it. And there's only 4 episodes, so it's just going to be a little bite-sized thing. It's all good. And then I watched VHS Beyond with games media and game writer enthusiast Lana Pierce, who I've met a couple times actually.
Well, now actress too.
Now actress, just a real Renaissance woman there.
Yeah.
In a portion directorial debut from Kate Siegel, Mike Flanagan's wife, written by Mike Flanagan. Yeah.
I saw she was talking to Mike Flanagan on some video on YouTube I was watching. So yeah, very cool to like see that whole world collide and everything. And VHS, this is my first VHS, so now I'm definitely going to go back and watch the others because you guys all recommended to them, and I loved the style, just the cool, like kind of low budget but just tight and fun concepts. I loved the skydiving one. I thought that was a really interesting idea. I thought that was cool. That first one was really gory and really intense, but I liked it. I liked the kind of like I don't know, first person video game vibe of the whole thing,
Don't spoil it.
I won't. But just cool. They were all really fun vignettes, and I thought it was a really good time. Visceral and just chaotic, but fun. So I watched it in a couple sittings too. I watched like 2 the first night, and then another couple, and then finished it off a third night. So fun to do that. And then lastly, last night I watched a movie that was really fun. I wouldn't necessarily qualify it as horror, but it's called It's What's Inside. It's on Netflix. Kind of like it kind of reminds me of like Bodies. Yeah. It's kind of I'm not going to get into it too much but this was like in the synopsis on Netflix, so I don't think it's a spoiler. Not synopsis, like the little preview text. Essentially, like these kids play a party game that's like this tech bro's new invention, where it essentially lets you swap bodies with everyone connected to this machine.
Oh.
And it's kind of like a psychedelic experience, so it's kind of like they all sit down to like take acid together kind of vibe. And then calamity ensues from there. I won't get into it any further, but it's freaky in the fact that like if you were outside of your body or in someone else's body, like you might feel like anxiety type of stuff, and so they treat it almost like they're tripping a little bit, and it's definitely it's not scary, but it's like, you know, freaky at times, or like anxious, I guess. But it was fun. It was a really fun movie. It's kind of cheesy and stuff, but it's kind of one of those millennial like kind of you know, there's like texting on the screen and things like, you know, that sort of vibe. But it was I enjoyed it. Joe, did you check that one out?
I know of it. I have yet to see it, but
Cool.
that looked interesting.
I would recommend it. It's not like phenomenal or anything, but I would call it like a decent 7.5 or something. You
A
know,
lot of Netflix movies, but you know,
Yeah.
you know, something to throw on. You know,
I thought it was a really fun like narrative concept, like narrative problem to write yourself into and get yourself out of. So it was cool. That's my WYBNOO. Steven, how about you? What you been up to?
Yeah. So not much on the game side yet, but I'll get into that in just a second. Really just like casual stuff like Balatro and kind of whatever. It's just kind of been I'm waiting for the storm to hit when it comes to Dragon Age and stuff like that, right? So really been hard to sink into something lately. But I did just get a Steam Deck. I just barely got it today, and so that's gonna probably ramp up a lot of my game time, considering I don't have to sit at my PC for a lot of my stuff now. So that's gonna really help out. In terms of I got the 512 one. An LCD version, I didn't really care about the OLED or whatever. So and I'll be going on like a family trip here soon at the end of the month. So like Halloween night. So that'll be good. It's like 16 hours altogether driving. So that'll be clutch for that. So
Nice.
Yeah, not much on the game side, but on movies, I have a few that I would like to discuss. I brought Terrifier, and I just watched the first one.
Okay, I know Miguel also watched 1 and 2, so you guys should talk about this real quick.
So this is relevant because the third one just came out in theaters and is doing very well for a horror movie, indie horror movie, especially since what is it? It beat out Folie à Deux. Joker Folie à Deux was like the headline, right? And that movie cost way more to make than
like $200 million.
Yeah, and these guys, you know, way overmade their money back in just the like opening weekend, right? For this Terrifier 3. But so okay, what I like about this movie, it's no bullshit. The first one, but there's no bullshit. Art the Clown is an interesting character.
He's such a stinker.
He sure is.
You know,
You're killing me, Smalls.
I don't
like,
like the look. I really don't like the look of him.
I did like the fact that he uses a gun.
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay, yeah. So like,
that was so shocking.
Watched it.
That was so
So when
shocking.
he pulled that out and used it, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
What the
so
fuck?
like, okay, so she's crawling away, right? And you're like, okay, but the whole other time he's using his bag of tools that's like blunt objects, saws, things like that. And then, you know, I guess he's fed up or something and just shoots her. Just starts shooting her.
Yeah,
And
that
it's like,
part is
all right.
fucking funny as hell.
We just like, it just shocked me. I was like, fucking okay,
Yeah, I did
that's
not
what we're
expect
doing.
that either.
It
Yeah,
honestly comes
Good
out
on
of
you.
nowhere.
oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
And it's just repeatedly shot her face. And like,
Oh,
of
yeah.
course, it doesn't hold back, right? You see the things happening, and I think that's what I appreciate about it. Look, there's no story. Art the Clown is just there fucking people up. That's what he's doing. Nobody is safe. No, he doesn't give a fuck, right? Like that's what it is.
I almost feel like with Terrifier 2, they try to give it a little bit more of a story. And give him a little bit more background. And you'll see when you get to that movie. Do I necessarily like it or think it's necessary? I think it made it more interesting in the regard that, you know, he's not just killing people to kill people. But
Yeah,
there's like also some weird cosmic, or not even cosmic, just like
It's like supernatural, I'm sure. Yeah. And at the end of it,
and I assume she's in the third one too, if I'm not
She
mistaken.
is. She definitely is.
Yeah, the witch, right? I think they deem her as.
Is that
Interesting.
Okay.
No, have you?
And that's the same-
She's in the second one. Steven.
There's an interesting thing going on there with that, because they open the movie with her doing an interview with the lady. She then gouges the lady's eyes out because the lady makes fun of her, right, backstage. Which is like the first shock.
And they
was like, wow, okay.
They reference that at the beginning of the second movie too, so that's sort of like a way to tie them.
It's all tied together.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, like I said, what I like about the movie is it doesn't try to be more than it's not, I think, right? So it's there to show you the gore and show you the practical effects, and the characters serve to get you to the next gory part, right?
Next shock. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. And then there is some shock and awe. I did think it was kind of funny. He saw the lady in half, and like there was just like almost a little bit over the top, slight dark humor kind of stuff, right?
Fan of Bone Tomahawk, that's for sure.
Right. Okay. Yeah, so it was just like you look back at the body after he sawed her in half, and it's like, okay, well, many things don't make sense about how he could just saw her in half, right? Never mind the spine that's in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Or the skull that you
believe.
Exactly.
That saw was very, very sharp.
No, he deboned her first, right? That's what. Okay, so yeah, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense about it. But you just gotta turn your brain off and kind of enjoy the like shock of it, really, the gore porn of it, right? Almost, but yeah, I don't know. I liked how simplistic it was, and it didn't overstay its welcome. So
there you go.
I am happy they made 3 of them. I guess they're gonna make like max 5, right, of the series they were saying.
If horror movies don't stop. I'm just saying, like, they could keep going.
I mean, look at Friday.
I did find it interesting that the second one tacks on like an extra almost 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
It's almost a little overbloated, honestly.
Yes.
But yeah, I appreciate that they were able to, draw it out a bit more. And honestly, yeah, keep making them, get that money. Yeah,
Ultimately, that's what it's about, right? Like they're just trying to make $1, and
all I care about
the clown. He's a cool character.
I just want to watch a movie that's fun. That's it. Not every horror movie needs to be about like, oh, my husband just died and I'm haunted in a bathroom and I have to like stare at shots of like bathroom tile or something. Like just have a fucking clown rip someone apart.
Disparage the Night House.
Okay, so yeah, and it was just like I had watched a string of horror movies where it's like, man, I predicted where this was gonna go. I'm not really feeling it. It's not that impactful. And I was just like, I'm tired of these like over artsy plots, these over like heady plots that kind of just for me sometimes get in the way of the scares, right? But and this was just a nice palate cleanser for that. So next I will say I watched Nope. This is a long time coming. I know I'm kind of behind the trend on that, but so what am I missing? What am I missing here?
You're a slide.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I guess I could see it. That was kind of cool.
I liked it for its like cinematography and its kind of like Hollywood referendum elements much more than I thought it was any sort of horror or even real like thriller-y thing. Like I was
just disappointed by the reveal, I guess.
I would argue it's more of it's like a really light sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But overall, like everyone, the acting and stuff, I overall I enjoyed the movie. So I thought,
yeah, me too. It feels like an ode to like Jaws or something more than
So I guess I was just maybe expecting to be scared at least a little bit, like, but it was more just like a proof of concept. I feel like or let's subvert some expectations, but then the fact that it was, for people who haven't seen this, I guess spoiler incoming, but the fact that it was oh, wait a second. You have 3 seconds to. He hasn't seen this. Have you not seen this?
I haven't seen it, so just tell me, just nod, wave at me when you're done.
Yeah. Okay. So the fact that it's like a creature, right? Instead of what I don't know.
Yeah.
I wanted it to be cool alien, man. Like I wanted it to be like a cool extraterrestrial thing.
I don't know. That is kind of cool if it's a big creature. If you think about it.
I don't know, man. And it was kind of cool how like they had the mass disappearance at like the rodeo or whatever. Like that was
go with
cool.
no expectations. No expectations.
And yeah, it was. The acting was good and the shots were good, and I feel like it's a good movie, but I don't think it's a good horror movie, right? Like Jacob's been saying in our last podcast. And I guess I'm just looking for that horror movie.
I appreciate the commentary about just essentially exploitation is what that movie is
100%.
all about. It's,
absolutely, yeah.
I really appreciated the hell out of that. It's just fun to me, sci-fi horror.
Are we done spoiling it now?
Yes, we're done spoiling.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
And there were some funny parts in there. I think the acting was interesting. But I just think it was. I'm like, what am I missing, right? And I kind of felt like out of the. I guess it just didn't sit with me like it did other people. So
I had to chew on it for a while more than I did with his other films, with Jordan Peele's other.
Yeah,
films.
which I liked Us a lot better. I will say.
I mean, like those hit you like coming out of the theater, you're wowed. You're like, whoa, okay. And then this one,
what the fuck was that?
As I thought about it and had conversations with like my partner about it and stuff, then I started appreciating like, oh, that's what this was about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can see like because of the commentary, like Joe was saying, like that it makes on things that definitely, I could definitely see like how it could have a deeper meaning and resonance with certain people. So, but yeah, that got me itching for another movie, another scary alien movie, which was really cool. It's Nobody Will Save You.
Oh yeah.
This fucking movie. It was so refreshing. Like there's no words. There is no words in the entire movie.
Toward the end, there's a couple, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah. But you're basically right.
For the whole movie, they're just showing, not telling you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this movie rocked. This movie had everything I wanted it to have. It was original. The alien design, I think maybe could have used a little bit more budget. But other than that, I think the concept and what the aliens could do was really cool. They kind of locked the people in that like state of mind, right? And there was some genuinely like creepy parts where she was just walking around and everybody else is like has those weird fucking spider things and they're like, I thought it had some like slight body horror too, right? Which I thought was neat. It had everything I wanted a spooky like alien movie to be, right? So this was much better after watching Nope. So I mean, as like a horror movie, right? I'm sure there's other things obviously Nope does really well. But yeah, I really fucking enjoy that movie. So
I think it's really creative. I like that there's not a lot, like there's almost no words. Again, that's the reason why I like Willy's Wonderland, because Nick Cage says nothing the entire film, which is incredible. I feel like the ending, like maybe the last 30 minutes of No One Can Save You is a little weak in certain ways, but the way it ends for me was fun. I love the way that movie ends. I think it's great. But overall, it's like, good 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 style movie, like horror experience, like definitely fun. I think Joy and I popped some popcorn, watched it on the couch. We had fun with it most of the time. Yeah, good times.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's my WYBNOO.
Nice.
Heck and darn. Miguel, take us through it.
All right, so I had a Terrifier marathon on Monday.
Wow.
After Steven said that he watched the first one, I was like, you know what? Because I was actually going to put it on this past weekend, but I was like, I'm not in the mood for this shit right now. Then you said you watched it. I was like, you know what? Let me watch it. So then I was just like, I'll just fucking watch the second one, get it over with. It's gonna be more of the same. It was.
Cool.
With a little
But it's
bit
that-
of added like
More money.
drama, I guess, if you will. But
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, we talked about that. This should have been on last week's WYBNOO. I watched Salem's Lot.
Oh, we just watched it.
It was okay. It
We
wasn't
liked
good.
it. We liked
I
it,
thought it was okay.
but
I was insulted by it.
I had just watched the 1979 version, and it was so fucking boring and old and horrible. Like, I do not fucking like that movie. It's awful. I watched the new one, and I was like, this one's actually scary, and it's like knocking out the story quickly. Obviously, if you read the book, I'm sure it's way better than all this shit, which I probably should do. But I'm just saying.
Significantly more Father Callahan, that's for sure.
I was gonna say it looks like Joe liked the 1979 version.
Hey,
of Salem's
we all have different opinions. No one's wrong. No one's wrong.
I was gonna watch it, but I didn't want to because I had just watched the new one. Like Jacob said, I felt like it was okay. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, we had fun with
It
it.
does make me kind of want to watch the 1979 version or even read the book, but
There were
I
some
bet you-
I bet you the
choices
book's
that
fun.
were made. Yeah. I don't understand how it still had an R rating.
okay,
Yeah. Just
that's fair. Yeah.
especially when some of the choices that were made in the film felt like it brought things down to a children's level in some ways. I just I don't know, man.
I did find it odd, and the little boy. I thought the whole story with him helping out, and I was like, "Is this really what would happen?" I don't know if that's how the book is or not. Like,
Yeah,
I don't-
kinda,
I know
yeah,
very
yeah,
little
yeah.
about the source material.
I think the reason
It
I
is
like that
okay.
movie is because that little boy fucking is like John McClane, action hero, fucking vampire slayer badass the whole time, and I was just rooting for him the whole time. So I don't know. That's for me. That made that movie fun. And also, to be fair, I was half watching it, and I was also in Verum Dex's 1 year anniversary stream playing
We'll see. Yeah.
fucking Jackbox. But I kept looking over, and every time I look over, it was like a jump scare, and it was creepy. So that's what I have to
Overall,
say.
Like I said, I enjoyed it. Do I feel like I wasted my time? No. There are some movies where I feel like I wasted my time.
Yeah.
Oh, what I should say about Terrifier 2, I fell asleep because it was late at the end of Terrifier 2. So I had to finish it the next day. But when I woke up the night that I was originally watching it, I woke up to Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh, fuck
which
yeah.
I need to go watch.
That's a good
I
movie.
can see how they suggest.
Yeah.
I can see how it
Solid.
suggested
Just
that.
rolled right
to you.
in. So I was like, okay, I'll have to watch that. But other than that, I've been watching The Penguin, which if you haven't been watching, I know Joe mentioned it earlier. It's really fucking good. Like, I've been enjoying the shit of that show. I think they've done a really good job with it, and I'm pretty sure, I don't know if it's going to be another season or not, because I know Colin Farrell does not want to wear the suit again. Is what I
Yeah.
read.
I can imagine.
He hates the fucking suit. So I don't
Dude,
know. We'll see what
like
happens.
5 hours of makeup every day. Yeah.
But it's great. It's really, really good. And then the last thing I had on my WYBNOO was Hollow Knight. I've been playing Hollow Knight still, so
Oh, cool.
that's the only game I've been playing.
Keep at it.
Yep.
You got this.
That's tight. That's
I'm pretty
exciting.
much done, I think. I'm near the end, I think.
Of Hollow Knight?
Badass.
Like I said.
I bet you're
What
not.
did you just? What's the last boss you beat?
You already asked me this. There's bosses everywhere.
He doesn't know.
I know, but like,
Miguel doesn't fucking know.
there's so like,
I don't fucking care, dude.
It's some sort of
just-
bug. It probably is a
I'm
beetle.
invested. I'm invested.
shooting
and I'm
out.
Interested
I
and
just,
intrigued.
I don't remember what the last one was, to be honest with you. I'm just doing shit. Leave me alone.
Hey,
Stop asking
I
questions.
hope you're enjoying it. That's all I care about.
You know, I'm. Did you fight the roly polies that were annoying and they
Yeah,
kept
I
multiplying?
already fought them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Assholes. Anyways,
beat them
yeah,
already.
Sorry.
Assholes.
That's all I wanted to say.
And I beat
That's all I wanted
Hornet
to
for
say.
the third time. Come on, stop asking questions. I don't know where I am.
Freaking rolling.
He's like,
I'm just
no,
saying,
I don't
you
know.
find-
No, wait, I
This
do
is what I'll
remember.
say
Never mind.
about
Yeah.
this game. You just end up like fighting bosses whenever. I think I'm fighting them out of order
no.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter what the fuck you
yeah.
do.
There's no order.
Mantis Lords.
There's no
an
real order
but yeah.
as far as I can tell. Unless you're doing a speed run, then
There's
I would
certain
imagine it's
yeah.
probably in order.
Oh,
I mean, there's certain
wait
bosses
till
you
get
have
the
to beat.
gauntlet,
Yeah.
bro.
Gauntlet, the Trial of Fools or whatever it is.
No, it's like the Gauntlet of Champions or something like that.
Oh, the
I can't.
Gauntlet of Champions,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
fuck that. That's hard.
Yeah. Nope. It's very hard.
But
All right. Well, Jacob, take us home.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is an excellent video game. I finally had money, so I bought that game. I'm playing the shit out of it. Didn't beat Resident Evil 1, but still somehow have to beat it this month, and I have to start over from the beginning. We talked about this last time. So we'll see how that goes. Played lots of demos. Again, check out our demo coverage on Neon Gaming Dimension to see. There's one game I really want to talk about, but I want people to check out the video, so I'm not going to talk about it. But I'm obsessed with it. And I can't wait to buy it. The last time this happened, it was this like arcadey game that reminds me of the Sega Saturn, and I did buy it, and I will buy this game when it comes out too, and y'all will know in the future. What's up, Steven?
You can't help but so you glossed over Sparking Zero.
Oh, I'm going to talk about Sparking Zero more. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
I just want to get through these other things. Oh, we also went to the Ren Fair, which was fun. We didn't stay late. Didn't stay long, I should say. We were there at the opening, and we left like 2.5 hours later. Just because it's so fucking hot, man. Still in Vegas. Although it's starting to cool down. Tomorrow it's apparently supposed to be like in the 60s. And it's going to get even more windy. And then this weekend should be in the 75. So it's like, if only this was last weekend, we would have stayed longer and hung out in the camps and stuff. But I got a new t-shirt, has a wizard on it. It's pretty rad. And I got a drinking horn. And I can't remember what Mochi Squeeze got. I'm sure she'll tell us in the chat. But Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, man, is this game amazing. Although it is like tough, right?
It's tough. Yeah.
But
That's what I was
like,
gonna say.
the more that you play it, like the more I keep going back to training and like trying to just pick up on certain concepts. And it's like, this is one of those games that you want to button mash a lot on. But like, if you calm down and like pay attention to what you're doing, you can actually like, it's a lot more simpler than you think. And like, I keep reading guides over and over just to try to like think about it. Like I read a guide, then I play, and then I read the same guide. I'm like, okay, what were they actually trying to say? And you know, eventually it's making sense. So I don't know. What's up? Do you have it, Steven?
Yeah. So I had on PC, right? And I was playing, I had my son check it out first, right? Mistake. First of all, he got pissed because he got his freaking teeth kicked in by the ape, Vegeta ape. Right?
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, okay, you know, maybe he's like 10 years old, so maybe he's like button mashing, and it's not that hard, right? And I pick it up and I get my ass kicked.
Yeah, it's because it's tough. They don't pull the gloves off.
I'm like,
from the very beginning, and like there is a easier difficulty, but like fuck that, you know.
Even then, like the easier difficulty was not that easy. Like, the thing I'm saying too is like, I don't think it ramps you on enough to get to that point. It's just immediately fucking hard.
No, so I think with the like, if you are thinking about picking up Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, pick it up. But my suggestion is obviously run through the tutorial. That's a given. I know you want to go straight into the episodes because that's single player, but what you should do is go into training mode and learn some stuff, and then just do some battles against AI. Just try fighting people and stuff. Then go back in and do a little bit more training. Like, just try to learn what the fuck's going on. Because if you know Dragon Ball Z, it starts with an alien coming from space who's way stronger than the main character. And it just feels that way because of course it does. That's how the storyline is. So like you have to like go into training and like actually learn the game out the gate. And the more I did that, the more I'm picking up on stuff. And it is just so good. It's just such a great video game. And eventually I'll be a badass and I'll start taking people on online. But yeah, great game. Like I said, what did I say? Oh, and then a whole bunch of horror movies, but that's the topic. So I figure I'll save it for the next section.
Yeah, mine too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hell yeah, dude. All right, y'all. Well, that was an excellent and action-packed filled WYBNOO, I say. It always is when there's 5 people here. We got lots to nerd out on, so that's good.
Oh, yeah.
But we're going to move into topic of the show, and that, of course, this week is horror movies. So we're going to start with a question. Quick, let's keep it quick and snappy. Just first thing that comes to your head. We're going to run down the panel here and say, what does horror mean to you? I'll start with our guest, Joe. What do you think?
That's a tough one, but
it's a broad question.
It is. It's like, what's your favorite horror movie? Don't ask me that. Don't ask me.
What's your favorite? Same. What's your?
I turn into the character in the Matrix who's like not like this before. It's but yeah, I mean, just fear and being unsettled and just the good vibes that come along with that. There's horror, especially when it comes to film. Films can have so much to say in even the dumbest, most like throwaway movies. There's usually something in that art still. It's and even if we're talking like dumb 80s slashers, there's often some kind of commentary in there somewhere. And it's so difficult to see people just discount horror as a genre out of hand. And oftentimes those are people that, just don't like the genre. Classically, film critics have just shit on the genre over the decades, right? And it's only really been in recent times you get a lot more people that are actually fans of the genre being critics of the genre. And that's nice to see, because there's a lot more to be said about a lot of these movies. So I'm branching off on a tangent here, I know, but I guess it is. That's why we podcast, right?
Yep.
But at the end of the day, horror it means a lot, just because I think it's so versatile and there's so many subgenres. I was looking through the list of tropes that had been put together, and I'm thinking to myself as I'm looking through most of these are just subgenres of horror.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And that's awesome. It's like I said, there's a lot to say. I think this has been a very interesting year for horror, in that we have come off of the prior year's writer and actor strikes. And generally that tends to create a very favorable environment for horror films, because guess what? They don't cost a lot of money to make. You can usually get by without having to hire top tier talent. And ultimately, that necessity is the mother of invention, shtick that ends up creating really, really interesting films. So I think we've gotten some really fun stuff this year, and I know we're going to get into that, but it makes me very excited for what else we have to look forward to through the rest of the year and beyond. So
hell yeah. I like what you were saying with like necessity being the mother of invention. It's also kind of reminds me of like, all the creativity that came in like the NES era of video games, where the constraints of budget and stuff like that make you get more creative within the space. And so I think so many horror movies are like taking leaps in what they can do with limited technology, or how you can push the envelope with either practical effects or just cinematography or whatever it is. It's cool. It's a good way to do it. Jacob, how about you?
So like I wrote this question because like when I talked to Mochi Squeeze about it, she talks about horror like she wants it to scare her, right? Which makes total sense. And it just kind of got me thinking, like, there's just so much like horror, like Joe's talking about. It's multifaceted, and it really got me thinking about like what does horror mean? And the more you think about it, the more people you talk to, like it really is something different. Like to some people, it's a movie to watch with your girlfriend on the couch with popcorn. It's a movie that's gonna horrify them. It's not even horror. Like it's like something that's like a thriller. Some people think horror movies are thrillers.
Could be like slapsticky and comedic in a lot of ways.
You know, to some people they need gore. You know, other people they need a ghost, right? So I just think it's really interesting that like this particular question, I feel like everyone kind of has a different answer to. Of course, Joe has a massive answer to it, being a guy who has a horror podcast, which is what I expected. Absolutely. For me, like, what is horror to me? It's similar, right? It's all of the unsavory things. It's the gross stuff. It's the things that make you feel weird. It's the things that make you feel bad, but also that's fun. It's the things that are fucked up. It's the things that are mean and bad. But it's also triumphs. It's also hope, on top of that hope being stomped at the end of the film when everyone dies anyway. It's just, to me, it's the subversion of everything about normal narrative and like stories. It's the negative in the world. It's the yang to the yin of everything in this whole world, right? And that's what's fun about it. And what I love about horror is just the fact that it's fucked up. And I used to be afraid of everything, and now as like kind of a newer fan of horror stuff, I just find it fascinating. It's something new and fun to me. And that's why every October I watch as many fucking horror movies as I possibly can. Because this is the month where I can con my lady into watching as many with me as I possibly can. But I just love horror. It's a lot of fun. And video games, funny enough, I feel like with that medium, there's way more horror in video games than any other medium, it feels like. Even games that aren't even horror games have, like, scary-ass monsters, you know what I mean? So I just feel like, being a gamer, it's really acclimated me to horror, and I feel like a lot of gamers are kind of like that, at least these days, compared to, like, before video games, when people were afraid of Nosferatu with a guy playing at a piano and no words, just the title cards and stuff. It's just crazy. It's crazy how much it's evolved and how it's just such a big part of everything these days. But yeah, I definitely get scared sometimes when it's dark.
Sure.
You know what I mean? There's some shadows in the corner. Yeah. But what does horror mean to me? Everything that's wrong. You know what I mean? And that's what's fun about it.
Nice.
I'll be right back.
Right.
Continue.
I was thinking about this the other day, and I think one of the reasons why I like horror is that in a similar way, it's interesting to watch or participate in something that creates like an involuntary reaction. So like one of the reasons, like I was thinking about it in compared to comedy, where and there's so many similarities in it in a lot of ways, in where you kind of like if someone's really truly funny and they just hit it right for you, you laugh regardless of whether you want to or not. And same thing with horror. Like if something's really disturbing to you, or a jump scare is really effective, or whatever that is, you get this like physical and visceral reaction to something that is like not it's not something you planned on, even if you went there to watch the movie voluntarily. But you know what I mean? Like there's something that just, it takes you out of your own control for a second, and your body just does. And I like that,
And what is it that both of those genres need in spades? Timing.
Yeah, totally.
And that's why they work together so well when they're mashed together. Horror comedies are fucking awesome.
They are awesome, and they have a long legacy, and I think even in very serious horror movies, there are moments that can be hilarious. Whether it's like because they're so horrific that you're like, and you're just like, you just have to laugh at it because otherwise it would be like traumatic feeling, like The Exorcist is famous for that, where that movie terrified people and like changed people's psyche for like years and years afterwards. But there are really funny moments in that film, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So, I love that about it, that it's kind of this visceral thing. But I thought of when I was younger, I read a book of Stephen King's short stories, and there's one called The Boogeyman, and nothing even really happens in it. It's just about like the crack in the closet door that keeps showing up, and how like just that little thing can just like ruin your whole night or like drive you insane type of thing. And I love that element of horror to me, like just like not even seeing the thing, but just imagining the thing is always the scariest part of the film for me. And that's why I think a lot of third act in horror movies like loses its scare factor.
100%.
Once the box is open, you're like, all right, you know what I mean? Like I can believe I can face that demon or whatever.
It's almost like the horror movies are, or even horror stories in general are all like the aristocrats, right? The aristocrats joke. It's about the ride. It's not always about the destination. It's just about everything that happened on the way there, right?
Yeah, totally. The rest of the crew, Miguel, Steven, got anything to add to what is horror for you?
I think for me, it's the thing that gives me nightmares. It's the thing that reminds me that I am living, right? When you're scared, you feel more alive usually, right? It's when you're laughing, you feel more alive. You're feeling vibrant, right? And like you said, when they mix together, it's a great effect usually. But I think there's something innate that we kind of seek out when it comes to horror movies, right? Like it's like pinch me, I'm dreaming, right? Or scare me, I'm I feel like I'm dying, right? Like, but it's like having the terrible things reminding you that one, this isn't happening to you, but two, that yeah, you're still alive, everything is okay, and there's some catharsis in watching some of the stuff you're really scared of, like actually like that are phobias of yours, right? And if you watch it, like a movie of it, and then like I don't know, if you can have that like mild exposure therapy to it, I think there's something to that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
No, I would agree with that. Honestly, I feel like when I think horror, at least horror movies, it's kind of like an escape. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to view these things that are, if they were real, it'd be really fucked up and wrong and extremely traumatizing. But you can look at it and no, it's not real. I wouldn't necessarily say it's fun all the time.
No,
but it can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, just depends on the mindset that you go in with. Like when I was a little kid, I was scared of everything. I look back and I watch the shit that I watched when I was a little kid, and I go, "That's hilarious." It's not scary at all, right?
Totally.
Like, right. And to be honest with you, I don't get scared very often. At least not for movies. Jump scares get me, obviously.
But that's just a. I mean, again, that's a thing that's involuntary in a lot of ways.
Involuntary,
you know what I mean? Like,
right?
it's not necessarily that you come away from that being like, I'm terrified. You're just like, oh, my body jumped because that's what happens.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, as a child of the '80s, the ads that they used to run on network television at night for horror films. I can't believe that they got away with some of that shit, because that was nightmare fuel for me until you get to that point where you're like spending the night at a friend's house and you rent a bunch of scary movies and you stay up all night scaring the shit out of each other watching that stuff.
Classic.
And that's what really sucked me into the genre, I think. I remember very specifically the '89 Mary Lambert version of Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah,
that movie fucking rips. And I still go back to it quite often. Is it a perfect film? No, but you got Herman Munster as the neighbor from across the street.
No, not road.
So I always, the funny thing about that film is that my name being Gage, I always get people being like, did your parents name you after this Pet Cemetery kid? And I was like, no, fuck off. but yeah. Awesome. Well, that is that's horror. That's like it's a cool, unique and broadly defined thing.
Well, and when I wanted to add one more thing, it's like it's just another version of thrill seeking, right? That's the
big time.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep.
Totally.
Yep.
No different.
Yeah, I love it. Cool. Well, we are going to move on to we'll talk a couple of a bit of the swath of films that have come out this year. So we could just put a little talk onto them and see what's happening there. Like you said, Joe, we're coming out of the writer and actor strike, and so it's cool to see some stuff come out. There's a bunch that I have still not seen yet. One of the things when you have a young child is it's really hard to get to the movie theater. Luckily, a lot of films are coming out sooner onto streaming services, and I'll watch them there. But there's a bunch on here that I really want to go see that I just haven't had a chance to. But whatever, we'll take them through it. You guys kind of already talked about Salem's Lot, so let's jump right through into Alien Romulus. Has anyone seen this movie?
Oh yeah, twice.
I want to.
Hell yeah.
You can rent it right now on like Amazon or whatever.
Amazon?
20 bucks. I think it's $20 for rents.
That's fine.
But $30 if you want to buy it. So.
And then physical media in December.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it costs me far more to go to a movies than $20, so renting a thing for $20 is not so bad.
Oh,
because I
absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah.
Was it good, Joe?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I love that Fede Alvarez, what he does with his horror films. It wasn't nearly as brutal as some of his other films, like his Evil Dead reboot or Don't Breathe. That said, I feel like the normies felt like it was still fairly brutal. There were far too many Easter eggs and nods to previous films, and some that were, without going into spoilers, kind of blasphemous. But that said, I still enjoyed the hell out of the film, and I thought it was pretty well acted and paced. And well, like I said, I went and saw it in the theater twice, so I did very much enjoy it. I would like to see more fun stuff like this in that franchise.
It looked stunning, like just from some of the shots that I saw of it.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's a gorgeous looking film.
Yeah.
They've been trying to explain too much in that universe, which I think is where it kind of loses its charm.
Yeah.
So
Ridley Scott's prequel films. While I appreciate what they did and everything, and I think they get kind of a bad rap too.
They do.
Yeah, they do try to explain and hand wave away a little bit too much. And when you get rid of a lot of the mystery, you get rid of a lot lot of the horror, unfortunately.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. I do feel like he could have done quite a bit with those prequels, and I was disappointed where they ended up essentially. I enjoy them. I think they're still good sci-fi movies.
And them to just go harder into the grand sci-fi and just like fully ditch the horror if you want. That's fine. But I like that there is potentially a wing of alien movies that are going strictly into the horror vibe and the the space horror element. So I'm excited about this one in particular.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. Miguel, this could be one of our tacos and terror movies this year. We could definitely rent that.
It's got tacos and terror, man. It can't be something I want to watch because I'm going to fall asleep.
No, you can't fall asleep during tacos and terror.
We're going to be talking.
No, Joe, let me tell you about my yearly thing I do called Tacos and Terror. Right, I make tacos for everyone, and then we do a horror double feature, and we try to do one fun one and then one that's supposed to be scary to like even out the night. So, if you have any suggestions, let me know. But I was definitely thinking of renting some of the ones from this year because I think none of us here in this, in this house and, in Vegas, so all the people I know, we haven't seen like Long Legs or Maxine or this one or we watched Salem's Lot, but we talked about that.
Yeah, we did. We talked about it.
Sorry, Gage. Continue.
No, all good. We talked about VHS Beyond a bit, so we can, if anyone else has anything to say about that.
We do drink heavily too, by the way. Just
yes,
I figured.
That's why it's like I don't want to fall asleep during that movie. I want to watch it.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
I might watch it tonight. We'll see.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
Hell yeah, or actually maybe over the weekend. We'll see. But
What else we got?
So yeah, VHS Beyond, that was really cool. I definitely recommend it if anyone is listening now.
Yeah. Real quick, what was your favorite segment? You can only pick one favorite. Which I just want to say, I don't think it's going to be anyone's favorite, but the Justin Long segment, to me, was a good time, even though it wasn't alien themed. I just want to throw that out there, because I know this won't be our favorite.
I really like the Bollywood one.
Really?
And so did my
Wow.
wife. My wife was very excited about that.
Dude, Gage, I was thinking of you the whole time I watched that part.
Yeah, my wife was very just like taken aback, like, is this actually happening? You know what I mean? So that was fun. I think my favorite actually might have been the skydiving one. I thought it was just
so
unique.
good.
You know,
That one
just
was
broad
good.
daylight too, and it was just like, what the, you're already in a tense situation. I just thought it was just interesting, So
Yeah. I don't know. For me, probably Stork, just be basic bitch. Like, it was just, look, I love found footage films. And for me, like, action found footage like that is just a good time. It was like being in a horror first person shooter. And so I'll shout out to Stork.
Resident Evil. Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
totally.
Like the first Resident Evil movie, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking badass.
Yeah.
like
That's the good one.
Hardcore Henry Resident Evil.
Yes.
crossover.
Yes. I have to shout that out.
Yeah, there you go. Let's move on to Abigail. There's a couple other ones on here. You guys talked about Terrifier. There's a third one out this year.
Yep.
Substance looks interesting.
We all have to see that. We all have to see it. It's supposed to be incredible. So
Yeah.
we just haven't watched it yet. Yeah.
There you go. Abigail, is Abigail in
Radio
part of the series?
Silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love anything that they put out. Abigail was such a fun horror comedy.
Yeah.
They did the film dirty with the way they cut the trailers. They should have left
Agreed.
quite a bit more up to
What's that?
mystery there. But it's a ton of fun. The cast, Dan Stevens is chewing scenery like no other in that movie. It's he's having a great time.
Gotta love him in this
I
movie.
just thought it was like funny. I was laughing at it the whole time. Like
it's a horror
it was
comedy.
Dance. Yeah. It was. I had spoken on about it on like a previous episode that we had, and I just thought it was like, okay, like this is ridiculous, and I'm kind of here for it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just read it. I just want to bring this up. I read a thing on Reddit, I believe, where they're interviewing the child actress that plays Abigail, and she was saying that like the entire time she was covered in blood. Like even when the dress shouldn't have had blood on it, like in earlier shots and stuff, she's like, yeah, there was still blood on it. Like at any point, I couldn't not get blood all over that tutu that they had me in. And it's just so funny to hear that from like a little kid.
That is funny.
She's probably having the best time.
Right?
She was a lot of fun.
God, she had to have had fun. But yeah, it's a good movie. If you have, what is it, Max or Peacock, I think? Peacock.
Don't go in expecting a serious plot that you're gonna get like, super invested in, or it's gonna scare you. Really, it's like a, I don't know. I guess it's fun in that like this ridiculous kind of way. So
I somehow convinced my 76-year-old mother to watch it, and she thought it was funny. So yeah.
Okay,
that's incredible.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
We've got a couple. Hold Your Breath is on here. I don't know much about that one.
I don't know that one.
Okay, that movie is Sarah Paulson. It's Sarah Paulson. It's a Netflix movie. It's her in the Dust Bowl.
Watch that.
Who did?
Oh,
I watched it. Yes.
I heard that it was decent, but I just haven't seen it yet. But it is a 2024 horror film.
So it was cool, but I wanted more dust scenes, right? And I wanted to see more of the things that were happening. And I just wish we had a little bit more, is what I was saying. And it was. The unfortunate thing is that I kind of predicted where it was going to go, because they do a little bit too much foreshadowing, a little bit too much how do I say this, like they put too much in the scene to tell you what probably is going to come, right? And you're just like, well, fuck, I've already figured out the plot, right? So
they done fucked themselves over.
Exactly. Yeah, this one was definitely more psychological, like Cherry was saying in the chat. It was definitely more like playing on what the feeling was in that time frame where people just kind of felt hopeless and it was, crops were dying in mass and people just really were having a bad time. And it was kind of playing on that. But yeah, there were some cool scenes, but I wish we had more in the actual sandstorms that were happening, because there was some really cool stuff there. But yeah, it's worth a watch. I say give it a watch. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll throw it on the list.
You said it was like a 6 out of 10 or something, right? Like decent enough horror watch, right?
Yeah, pop it on.
I think that's what you said.
Serious, but
yeah,
it's good enough for a watch. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, hell yeah. Jacob, you said you just watched the first Omen.
Oh, I just fucking watched this movie. The original Omen. Okay, I know what I said about Salem's Lot. May have hurt your feelings earlier. And hey, I don't mean to shit on that movie all over the place. All right, just kind of slow or whatever. It's cool. Has some great people in it. But the original Omen, I mean, that is a horror classic. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Cannot discount that film for being a classic movie.
Love religious horror.
Okay. Here we're on. I'm not a religious guy, right? I grew up religious. No, hey, I understand. I'm turned off by religious shit, but I know Catholic stuff can be fun for horror, and I get that. So I typically try to like stay away from it a little bit, but like, again, the Omen one is great. It's the only one I've seen. This is a prequel, and I believe it may set up some of the sequels to the Omen one that I haven't seen. I don't want to spoil stuff, but I will say, was this movie good? I would give this movie 7 out of 10. I think it's cool. It makes Nuns way creepier than The Nun did, because The Nun is, to me, fucking shitty. It's a shitty ass movie. It's fucking so stupid. Or any, also what is it? The third.
Llorona.
No, hey.
There's a good one of those and there's a bad one of those.
Yeah, I think it's a Conjuring 3, right? Which is also very like Catholic, which I hated. Fucking look, this movie is good. This movie does it right. This movie does what The Nun tried to do correctly. So definitely watch the first Omen, especially if you've seen the first like regular Omen movie, because it does directly set that up. I thought it was cool. It has a cool twist. So just as a film, like it's interesting and it's fun. Like definitely check it out.
Hell yeah.
So it sets it up in a good way then? So you're saying if I liked Omen, I should watch that?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Directly leads into
I've heard.
Omen, the original film.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice. Hell yeah. This is one that is majorly on my list, and I can't wait to watch it when it comes to streaming stuff. I've wanted to go out to see it in theaters, and apparently it's coming back to theaters for Halloween time, which I may actually be able to do that next week, which is exciting because my mom's going to be in town, so maybe she can watch the baby for free. But Longlegs. An acclaimed one from this year. Yeah, for sure. I have no idea what it's about. I've just heard people rave about it, and so I'm just excited about it.
It's best not to dig into it. Go in blind.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is majorly influenced by The Silence of the Lambs and Seven.
Cool.
But with a little bit more of an occult twist.
Cool.
Oz Perkins, the son of Anthony Perkins of Psycho fame, is an awesome director and not just a bit actor in Legally Blonde. Oz Perkins also did, The Blackcoat's Daughter. That's another good one from kind of a slow burn, but this one's a ton of fun. Nick Cage does what he needs to do, but Micah Monroe from It Follows and Watcher and a few other things here and there too. She kills it. And the actress that plays her mother in the film, Alicia Witt, of David Lynch fame. You know, she plays Paula Atreides' little sister in the David Lynch Dune, but also Donna Hayward's sister in Twin Peaks. And
damn.
She's the mom in this one, and she kind of steals the show. Blair Underwood is also really good. He's Micah Monroe's FBI agent's superior in the film, and he's very, very good. This is a cool movie, and I know this re-release in theaters is going to have an extended look on Perkins' new film out in late winter, The Monkey, also based on the Stephen King short story from Skeleton Crew, which if you haven't seen the trailer for this, looks absolutely fucking bonkers.
Sweet.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, James Wan's involved in this one too.
Yeah, he's like a producer or something. So should be good.
That looks
pretty stoked.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I saw that pop up on my timeline earlier today. Actually, I was like, oh, cool. Cuckoo or Cuckoo? I don't know anything about it.
Cuckoo. Still haven't seen it. Keep hearing good things. Keep hearing once again, Dan Stevens does an awesome job. Put in more stuff.
Heck and darn. Maxine, this is in the is it the Smile or is it
X.
Pearl X. Yes, there you go. Okay, cool.
Dude, we watched Pearl earlier this year and fucking loved it. It was so fucking good.
Right,
X,
I'll put it on the list.
X to me is fun and it's good, but I liked Pearl more because I felt like it was a little less goofy and it was a little more like it had a point. It was like a concise story, and that's what I really dug about it. And then of course, Mia Goth is killing it in both movies.
It's a stellar cast.
And Ty West does such a good job at period horror films.
Yeah,
it's House of the Devil. I mean,
oh my god, fucking love House of the Devil. I always talk about that movie.
Yeah,
man. Although I will say one mark against Ty West. And I don't know how this is going to land with Joe, but we did watch The Innkeepers, and it's not that great. Like I thought it was going to be awesome. It's like a 5 or 6 out of 10, just because like look, I think what that movie proves is that Ty West is good at writing characters, or like directing people, having conversations. Like there's a lot of like levity and comedy in that movie, and there's some scary moments. But I think that he found the formula after The Innkeepers. Personally, I think. Just saying. But dude, cool. House of the Devil, all time one of the greatest. Like it's one of those movies people don't talk about for some reason, and they fucking everyone should watch it. Oh, so good. God damn.
Ooh, nice, cool.
So good.
A couple more to run through here. Oddity.
Unsettling.
Good.
Cool.
Good movie.
I've never heard of this. What's it about? Like,
so it's on Shudder.
Revenge film that doesn't have to do with rape.
Nice. Yeah. Not on Irreversible.
Yeah, it's a trope.
This is sort of a spoiler image. Let me just put that away. Oddity is cool. It's trippy. What happens is really interesting. The characters are very unique, especially the main character, who is a twin, which connects to another character that it opens really scary, which I love, and then there's that air of mystery, and so throughout the movie you're trying to figure out what happened, because the twins trying to figure out what happened. I'm not trying to spoil the whole movie, but I will say when it comes to these Shudder originals, they can be a little Netflixy, right? Like you were just saying, like sometimes it's like, oh, this is kind of good, and then you get halfway through and you're like, this ain't so good, and then some are just really bad. But I think that Oddity was a good watch.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. On here we got Beetlejuice.
Okay,
that's a horror film.
Sort of not a horror film. I just wanted to shout that out because we just watched it. We just rented it. It's fun. It can't beat the original, but
near as good as the original. But yeah, Jenna Ortega was a lot of fun in it, and no, it's a good time at the very least.
Yeah, these legacy sequels are pretty hit or miss for me, but that's cool. We'll see. Then finally we have Exhuma. I'm not sure how you
Get on this Korean horror film.
Let's go.
Deals with shamanism. Would be a great double feature with The Wailing.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Shudder.
Okay.
yep.
The Wailing is great. So
It's this would be a nice companion piece. It stars what's his butt from Old Boy.
Oh,
who's
shit.
significantly older now.
Oh my God,
but
look at him.
Yeah, the young lady on the cover
That's awesome.
absolutely kills it in this movie. She plays the shaman, and you've got this foursome that they make their money by exhuming corpses that are causing difficulties for their family after their burial in spiritual senses. And Old Boy there, I can never remember the actor's name. I'm awful. But ultimately he plays a geomancer or a feng shui expert who ultimately helps people select good plots of land for graves based on feng shui, and ultimately there's him, guy who has like a funeral home who's kind of his partner, and then you've got the shaman and her protege, and this foursome come together to help this family out with this force that's terrorizing them in several different ways, and it spirals out of control.
Nice.
Okay, you sold me. I'm all over it. That sounds great.
This movie
again,
is.
if you like The Wailing, get on it.
I loved The Wailing, so there you go.
This movie is definitely on my horror spreadsheet, just so everybody knows.
Great. Hell yeah. All right then. Real quick, I think we're just gonna do one film each, but everyone kind of brought a film to talk about, and just kind of to roundtable it real fast. And I don't know, something in the horror horizon, the vast number of subgenres, but something that one of the films that sticks out to you. I know, Joe, this is kind of like what you guys do on your podcast, but by going through in a more in depth. But since it's five of us here, we'll just keep it a little briefer. Sure. But Joe, you had on there Don't Look Now. I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah. Now, originally we were going to do 3 films each, but we were, going to cut this a little shorter for brevity's sake. I also originally had Malignant on there.
Oh yeah.
Because it skates that line of parody and homage with Giallo, and then John Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness. Because it is one of the best H.P. Lovecraft tributes that has nothing to do with Lovecraft, because fuck that guy, he was a racist son of a bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
But
the themes are cool.
I love that movie so much. But Don't Look Now. Now 51 years old, this movie, starring a very young Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie, who are hot as fuck. Look at them in that poster.
I know. Look at the dash.
And this movie is infamous because of the sex scene in it that, very much appears to not be simulated, but that was more rumor than anything. But ultimately, it's funny because in watching this film, it's about this married couple that is dealing with the death of their child. It takes place in Venice, like 6 months after the death occurs, and they're working on getting over things. And said sex scene is actually a very, very frank scene of this couple probably having sex for the first time after dealing with the death of their daughter. And it takes place after like this 10-minute interlude of just boring couple shit too. And ultimately he works as this dude who restores like old, historic buildings. In this case, it's an old church in Venice. And the film takes place during the winter in Venice. So it's the off season. Hardly any tourists. The streets and the canals are basically empty. It is this most bizarre look of Venice that you never really get to see. And that ultimately is kind of its own character in the film. They are so believable as a married couple in this movie. And it is kind of spooky as shit. It is a good time and absolutely worth a watch. You know, Jacob, I know it might be a little slower paced for you, but if you can get beyond that bit, you might find an older film that you really enjoy.
I'll watch it. Look, it's not fucking 3 hours long like Salem's Lot is, though, is it?
Well, I mean, to be fair, that Salem's Lot was like a 2-part miniseries.
No, I know.
So.
I know. That's the only reason why I tried to cram it all at once, which was the issue. I mean, I could watch a 90-minute or 2-hour movie. It's just 3 hours. Fuck. I'll watch this for you. I'll watch this one for you.
We'll see if you like it. It's
I would love to.
Kind of an iconic death scene that has probably been spoiled to shit for a lot of people, but yeah, it's a good time. It feels a little giallo, even though it's not really a giallo. It takes place in Italy, but it's an English film. But it's cool. It's a good time. It's based on a short story, I think, from the same author as Rebecca.
Okay.
Was that Daphne du Maurier or whatever? Somewhere there's an old high school English teacher who's screaming at me. But yeah, it is such a good time. But yeah, that is the film that I picked because I love it so.
That's awesome. Yeah, I it's been on my list for a long time. I've always seen it on lists of, top horror movies where they go back and, go through the eras or whatever and stuff like that. And yeah, I know it looks awesome. So good to have it on recommended. Jacob, which one did you bring? Are you gonna go for on your end?
All right, remember there was 3. So just gotta say, already did my yearly rewatch of Event Horizon. Y'all know I fucking love that. I love every sci-fi horror movie that exists, including Pandorum. Just letting you know, another really good one. Another really good movie. Also had to throw Reanimator in there because we were talking about gore. We talked about gore a bit with Terrifier, but let me just say. Horror gore can get over the top to the point where it's like kind of funny and so ridiculous and so unbelievable, but incredible to look, like with all of the practical effects that are happening and stuff. Reanimator takes it to a level that like you can't even imagine, and that's why it's just such a good movie. Just want to shout that out.
Love Barbara Crampton.
Fucking so good. But of course, found footage. For me, like with the horror. Found footage, like it's the most believable, quote unquote, of all the horror stuff that you'll see because it's always played to be so real, like so candid, right? Of course, like I just watched Wreck earlier this year, which was so fucking good. Still don't want to spoil what that movie's about because it wasn't spoiled for me. And when it happens, you'll be like, oh. But it's so good. But Grave Encounters is the movie I want to bring up. I mean, you have Paranormal Activity, which is good, and then Blair Witch, like all the good ones. But Grave Encounters to me feels like kind of a left field movie that people don't talk about that often. I know Henry Zabrowski of Last Podcast always talks about it all the time, and there's a good reason to. Like, if you've never seen Grave Encounters, what it's about is it's like Ghost Hunters, right? What you're watching footage of is a lost like Ghost Hunters style TV show episode.
Okay, cool.
Where the people disappeared, right? And then they just found the tapes in this abandoned, like I don't know if it's a hospital or a what's it called? Asylum.
I think it was like
it's an asylum, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's supposed to be haunted, but they go in there, and this isn't much of a spoiler because it happens right up top. But all of a sudden, all the exits disappear, so they can't leave, and now they're stuck in this almost like pocket dimension of ghosthood, and that's the whole movie. It's to me is pretty fucking good. It is found footage, so people with like motion sickness, it's a little harder to watch, of course. But for me, like it's scary, it's good, and I like the way it ends. It's hopeless, it's interesting, and I just like the edge that like the 2000s ghost hunter aspect adds to the film versus like, oh, we're just people with a video camera or whatever. It's like, no, you're watching like a TV show, and it's the same.
Gives it more of a reason for people to be holding the camera.
Exactly.
Cool.
like film everything. It's because we're filming a TV show. But of course they're gonna get in fights because shit's going bad, and like et cetera, et cetera. So that's what's great about it, and that's also what I like about like a lot of these found footage things we're getting, especially this year. It's a lot of like, well, we found the tapes of this show, and we're gonna show you the tapes from this one era, right? Like, so this is kind of fits that same bill. But yeah, Grave Encounters, check it out, man. I mean, there's a lot of other ones I would want to shout out, of course, but we'll talk about that next year or something.
Yeah.
Maybe next week.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Heck and darn. That's awesome. Steven, you want to talk Sinister? I just saw this film. I just saw this last year for the first time.
Yeah, dude. So this I don't know why, but this one sticks with me in a sense that like, well, one, I guess maybe it's because I have children, and I feel like the imagery in this movie and how they present it, essentially the setup is this couple goes and to a house, and is it a writer? I think he's a writer, and
true crime, I think, right?
Yeah. And then obviously slowly over time some crazy shit starts happening. He finds the old projector tapes that are there, and starts watching those, and like you start seeing imagery of Bagul, right, which is like the spooky in this, right? Who gets the children, which we find out, I guess, spoilers if you haven't watched this, but it's I think it's out long enough. It's definitely, this is one of the ones where it's like I had a nightmare about it afterwards for some reason. It's the way they set up the timing for the scares was really good, I thought. And I thought it was an interesting enough plot to where, obviously, like, it's that repeated doomed cycle thing, like kind of like The Grudge had too, and that
it is unsettling.
It is exactly
that scene at night where the box opens up,
yes,
and something spills out. Yes.
Just the cinematography of it, like the way they set up the scenes and suspense, and the timing just gets you, right?
100%.
And when he's watching the tapes and like you see it, you're just like, fuck, okay. Like,
yeah, totally.
The writer-director combo of this, what's his name? C. Robert Cargill and his common director partner, Scott Derrickson. They make great horror films. And I was actually just watching part of Exorcism of Emily Rose before we started this. And I know that wasn't Cargill writing that one, but yes, another decent Scott Derrickson film. They just make magic together, and this movie is a ton of fun.
It's a lot of fun, and it was one that I like after it ended, I was like, fuck, that was spooky. And it was unsettling because, like, that cycle that repeats itself. I really like that. I was going to mention The Grudge was another one I was going to put on there, right? And Ju-on, which was like the inspiration for The Grudge, right? And I think both of those are worth watching in their own right. And I think in general, Asian horror kind of hits a little different for me. So it's always one that, like, it's more psychological, but the imagery is so impactful with so little, and I really thought that a lot of those really stick with me. The shower scene from The Grudge,
a little
right?
long
and like
sometimes, though, especially.
I will say, they can
they're a little bloated more than they should be.
The Audition, I love that movie, but
Audition's good.
Takes
Audition's good.
time, though.
It's like a rom-com.
Which one? And this is
most of it is.
There was like a one where in like a hotel and there's a killer going around killing different people. Like,
are you thinking of Reincarnation?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Where
that's
same like director really as The Grudge, Ju-on. But
same film style, same kind of like spooky imagery, right? Like,
I did an episode on Reincarnation earlier this year.
Nice,
good time that movie.
I gotta check that out.
And it was freaky. But yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was like the imagery that kind of sticks with you. Like they hit the Boogle's face, right, in different things, and like every time I load up, every time I see like like projectors or anything like that, I can immediately think of that, and like the face appears, and it's like, okay, you did well enough on the design there that it stuck with me through the years, right? So
the videos that they watch in Sinister are like, to me, the reason to watch that movie. They're so fucking like scary and horrifying. It's like chilling shit. It's just like,
it's what they have the kids
amazing.
do, and it's like, fuck, oh god, yeah,
incredible.
Hell yeah. Miguel, you got some cool ones on your list, but which one? Go ahead and shout them all out, but then just get into one of them.
You said 3, but then I thought about more, and then things just ended up on the list. But
all good.
I want to talk about The Mist.
All good.
Yes.
I love all those movies. The Menu is amazing.
Yes.
You need to watch The Menu.
Yes.
Underwater, I did not know.
Makes me want a cheeseburger every time. Sorry.
That reminded me of The Abyss a lot.
Yeah.
Like when you end up with what you get at the end, and I'm like, this is really fucking cool. I'm not going to say anything if you haven't seen it.
I still got to watch that. I really do.
Underwater was really fucking good. And so
is Underwater the one with Twilight Girl?
Kristen Stewart?
Yes.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other people.
I did like that.
It's a bunch of people, for sure.
Sure. Yeah.
But The Mist, I don't know. There's something about The Mist that I like. Obviously, you see the creatures coming at you. But like,
it is bleak.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then the way it ends, I love the way it ends. Like how fucked up.
Oh my god.
It was fucked. The way that ended.
It's so fucked up.
Have any of you seen the black and white version?
No.
Yes.
Ooh, that sounds
so
awesome.
good.
The only thing that takes me out of the black and white version is when people bring out their cell phones, because if you didn't have that little bit of modern technology in the film, it would feel like an old 50s 40s monster movie type thing. It's nice. The 4K disc actually is a 2-pack that has both the regular version and the black and white version in 4K.
That's so cool.
That's rad.
Is it just black and white in the same movie?
It's just the same movie, black and white.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it totally
works
changes
really
the vibe.
well,
That
though.
makes sense.
I will say, when I had a hankering to watch it, my friend had the Blu-ray, and he lent that to me. He goes, watch it in black and white, and I watched it in black and white. Like, this is really fucking good.
I'm dying
I just love that movie. I'll put
So
it
good.
on just to put it on. Like, it's fun. The creature design is very, very cool and interesting. Like, it's bloody, it's gory. Just overall, and then the whole feeling, like you said, it's very bleak. It's a very bleak movie.
Nice.
Yeah, bleak, and not only in just how it all plays out, but just in its look at humanity in a crisis.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the whole point of the story, I know, but just it's very well executed.
So well.
Yeah, it's a good time.
It's it's better than The Fog. But The Fog is still fun.
I've never seen The Fog.
Are we talking original or remake?
The Jamie Lee Curtis version. Yes.
Yeah, the original's fun.
I like that one. That's the only one I've seen.
I've seen bits and pieces of the Tom Welling one. It's not great.
Doesn't seem good. Miguel, I also noticed you have Sunshine on there. Just want to throw that out there. It's another great sci-fi horror
Such a good movie.
fucking movie. You guys all told me to watch that shit, and I loved it.
Such a good movie.
Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah,
So sick.
That's some really good shit. And I like things like that where, like you said, with Underwater in some ways too, like just the unknown of nature, or like the immensity of our perspective on the universe being the thing that terrifies you. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to that cast in Sunshine, though.
So good. Incredible.
Crap.
Incredible.
Yeah. Very good.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I had a couple for mine. I put The Ring on there because it's one of my favorites. It's one of the, I think it's the first movie that really truly scared me. I saw it when I was 12. It was way too young. Obviously the Japanese version is the one that film critics will put out there, but I actually like the English version better.
This is a very good remake.
It really is.
Good. I think the score rips. It has such a distinct look to it too. That the color grading in it is just awesome.
It's that like Seattle, like depressing winter vibes, and just like it's just that persistent gray and blue and green, and the little cut, like the moment that gets me the worst in this movie. I know we're not going to go into it too much, but when she says, like, when she's recounting the fact that they like found her body, and the mother's like, I saw her face, and then the head like rolls off in the closet. It gets me every time. And just the mood. It's not even like the jump scares or like the it's just the like, it reminds me of Silent Hill in a lot of ways, the video game, not the movie.
Frame filming that they do with the
totally
the body horror.
But just the vibes of it is what gets me. That just underlying like feeling, and the little kid's real creepy, and shout out to Logan Roy, who plays the dad. Sorry, his name, I forget what his name is, but Born Identity, and what's the show that just that he's Logan Roy in? I forget. Well, Succession. But he's the dad, and he's great. Anyways, that's The Ring. It's one of my favorite horror movies. Funny Games, also talking the remake. The original is really good too, but some of the nuance, because I watched it in its like original German. It didn't quite, like, some of the language nuance doesn't get to me as much. And that's just a film that just makes you feel fucking gross the whole time, and you're just like,
that's the entire point. You know it.
Yeah, totally. And just like emasculizing the dad by breaking his knee, and just like the whole thing is just like, it just makes you feel rough. But I want to talk about this one because I just watched it the other night and I really enjoyed it. It's called Midnight with the Devil.
Yes, I just watched that too.
The Devil?
Late Night with the Devil.
Late Night.
Midnight with the Devil. I wrote Midnight. I definitely meant Late Night. Really cool. This is like almost found footage in a different way. It's like a lost episode of this TV show. This struggling late night comedian / host who is trying to go toe to toe with Johnny Carson and is always losing in the ratings, starts embracing like more of a provocative content on during that era where TV was still pretty buttoned up. And he has ties with this group of like this kind of like secret society that meets in the Redwoods, and there's some mystery there, and essentially
Harlan Crow types.
Totally. And essentially he brings on this doctor who has been like working with this survivor, this young girl who's a survivor of a satanic cult, to be interviewed live on air, and stuff goes down. But I just the commitment to the show being the show that you're pretty much watching, and then having behind the scenes footage of like the taping that's going on in between, and just the dynamic between all the characters, and the crew getting more freaked out, and him and the producer being like, yeah, we're gonna get the ratings, like exploitation again is part of it here. And it's just good. I love the guy who plays Bane in The Matrix Reloaded is the skeptic, and he's great in it. Whoa, that's that guy. That's the Agent Smith in the real world.
David Dastmalchian kills it in this movie. I love him. He's so amazing. And I know we were just talking about last podcast, like he's like friends with all those guys now, so it's just fun to see like him speak candidly and then turn around and watch like a movie like this, which is just like, it's just horror. It, like, to me, a movie like this is just like horror comfort food. Straight
totally. Up. Yeah, it wasn't very, none of it really scared me or anything like that. It was just like a really fun, like chewy, bit of like, a good setup, and the period piece elements of it. It was just a fun way to deliver a horror movie like this. And just some of the subtle things, like the show business elements of it are cool. And talking about some tropes, which we can get into here shortly, there's some really good tropes that it plays with, like you have on here, what is it? Bad black barf. It comes into play.
Oh yeah. No, we'll talk about these tropes in just a sec, but all of the tropes on this doc that we have for our Rona show were ones that I handpicked from from tvtropes.com, which if you've never been there, definitely check that website out. It's so cool. But these are like, to me, are some of the most iconic tropes. And evil black barf. I mean, come on. How many fucking horror movies is someone like being exorcised and they're like throwing up a black barf demon excrement out of their mouth situation? I don't know.
Classic.
It reminds me of Terrifier 2, but it wasn't barf. I think she was shitting herself at the beginning of the movie.
Right on.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of barf.
You're right. You're right. That still works. That still works.
Excrement nonetheless. That was a different episode of NPD.
True. We did the pooped
in-
episode. That's right.
In the interest of saving some time, let's go through and just any ones of these that you guys want to shout out that you see on the list. I think there's some pretty classic ones that you picked here, Jacob. They're all pretty solid.
Oh yeah, I mean, just to start us off, you got to start with the cat scare, which is a type of jump scare. You always got to get the cat scare out of the way right at the beginning. You know that's the first scare of the movie before the real jump scares start coming. That shit happens all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good time.
It's usually like after like, I don't know. It's like the fake scare sometimes.
Exactly.
Right?
Always. That's what it is.
Scare and then set you up, and then they get you with the actual one, right?
Yep. We got let's see, Ouija board. You gotta have one of those, right? Mouth stitched shut. That happens a lot in horror films for some reason. Let's see, broken heel. This one was falling down on accident, and then now you're limping. That shit always happens. Artifact of Doom. That's very Evil Dead. Necronomicon Ex Mortis. You always have one of those.
Violent nature.
Exactly.
I've seen that. Yeah, and that's also on Shudder right now.
Big time.
One that's missing from this list that's one of my favorites is the dream within a dream, where somebody is having a nightmare and then snaps awake, only for the nightmare to continue because they're still dreaming. That's one of my favorite bits in The Mouth of Madness because it goes a couple of layers deeper than that too.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good times.
So I try to keep it broad because they get very granular. So I'm
seeing that.
Oh yeah. So my thought was that would fit under nightmare sequence, which technically happens like at the end of Event Horizon, right? There is a nightmare sequence where she wakes up and the guy that's the fucking bad guy's right there, and then she's like, and then she had a nightmare, and then the movie ends. Or it could be multiple nightmares. That does happen too, for sure.
Yeah, totally.
Let's see. Remove the head or destroy the brain. That happens in zombie films all the time.
There's one I saw on here that I wanted to point out that I think is one that like gets me to yell at the screen, and like other people too, is a dangerous key fumble. Like, they never have it set up right.
I feel like you would do the same thing though if you're really afraid.
Do you think? I think I'm not worried about like. Why is everything locked? First of all,
one for me that's in a similar vein to that is don't go upstairs. You're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So that's a big complaint that people have about it. Well,
uneven terrain.
That makes more sense then. Yeah, that's a big complaint that a lot of non-horror fans have about horror movies, that people just do dumb shit, right?
When you're scared, you probably do.
That's absolutely right. First of all, you wouldn't have much of a plot in a lot of horror movies unless people did stupid things. But also, when you're terrified for your life, when you have this killer coming after you, then you're probably going to make some bad decisions because you're making those split-second calls that get half the cast killed until dawn, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, totally. Final Girl is a good one, and I love
classic
the diving into that one in a more of an examination way in Cabin in the Woods. You know what I mean? Like, like how they take these tropes. I love
so
it.
good.
I love that movie.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, just the whole like taking the archetypes of horror of classic slasher films and making them like the reasoning behind that is really fun. So.
One that I found interesting, because again, check out tvtropes.com. They have a lot of really interesting links on there. It's almost like a Wikipedia for tropes for everything. But a term that I saw on there that like really made me like, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Gorn. You ever heard the term gorn before?
No, I have not. No, I have not.
No.
So
Is it gore porn essentially?
I'm about to though, right?
Oh yeah, it's like, to me, it's like, well, I know what Goro is, and we don't need to talk about Goro. That's fucked up. But Gorn is Terrifier, right? It's like gore for gore's sake, like gratuitous gore.
Okay, yeah.
But I've never heard that term before, and I was like,
I would
okay.
say Saw is that too.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
later ones, yeah, the ones after the first one.
Sure, yeah, after the first one.
And what about
just
Lamp?
It was like trying to Americanize French New Extremity in the odds. Yeah, because so much of the French New Extremity films are like one and dones for a lot of people, like the Martyrs or High
Martyrs.
Tension Nerves, which played,
Oh yeah, yep.
Totally.
Martyrs is so wild.
yeah. I don't need to see that again.
No, I feel the same way.
It's
One and
definitely
done.
like, oh, that made me feel horrible. Let me just not do that again. Yeah.
Right?
Get where they were
What I
going
wanted to
with
call
that, appreciate the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
What I wanted to
But yeah,
call
the
out
later
that,
campier Saws, I'll say.
Yeah. I think all the Saws are worth watching personally, but
No, I
that's
agree.
just me.
At least once.
And it might be biased because there's a lot of nostalgia. Like I watched it with a good friend. Like we would watch it every time it came out. So, but one that I was looking in the chat, Jerry was saying is like monster revealed in the background or scary thing revealed in the background, like crossing.
Oh yeah.
Going across, right? You kind of see it, sort of, right? And then, but it's not the full reveal of whatever it is, like the foreboding kind of thing.
I think
I
there's
forget
one
it.
in here for that. I can't
for it.
remember.
Yeah,
It's like-
shot
I didn't
in
see
The
it on there,
Strangers,
so-
where
Yeah.
Liv Tyler's standing there drinking her water, and the guy with the bag mask comes stepping out of the shadows, just stands there, and
Just
then
a
walks
little
away
bit, and then
again.
walks. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck
I
that.
like those.
In the,
Love that
is
shit.
Is it the Babadook? Is it the Babadook where that red demon head first shows itself?
No,
and the one
Conjuring.
main character doesn't.
No, not
that was
Conjuring.
Conjuring.
No, not Conjuring.
the Conjuring?
It's no. It's the one where he goes out of his body. Oh my fucking god! Insidious. It's Insidious.
Insidious. There it is. Yeah.
There you go.
But the main character doesn't see it, but it's like a jump
It
scare to
just
us.
slides out from behind his head.
Yeah. I love those.
Looks like a goddamn
great gif.
demon behind him.
Yeah.
Good. Hell
Maybe
yeah.
I see dead people. That's one of them.
I would say, like, if in that vein, just the creepy kid, like,
Oh, yeah.
spooky kid is getting spooky and weird. Like, In the Ring is another one, and
Yeah.
or like all those.
There's just so many.
One of the
Attorney
ones.
now.
Yeah.
They're just like tropes can go forever. I mean, you could talk about it like stringy-haired ghost girl from the Ring, serial killers, maniac.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Poltergeist, any ghost movie like Paranormal Activity, Number of the Beast, like you said, the religious horror, right? Like just watched fucking Omen, and there's all sorts of birthmarks that are 666s in that movie.
Yeah. The Mad Doctor. Like I just rewatched a movie called Mirrors not too long ago that has to do with like
that
someone
fucking movie, dude.
someone testing schizophrenic people and doing bad shit.
Or we look at 28 Days Later, which we were just talking about last week. Humans are the real monsters is a trope, right?
Man's inhumanity to man. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Last of Us is another one of those.
So good, so fucking good. Yeah, but anyway, I just think horror tropes are just a fun thing to talk about because there's always that formula. But what's the one thing that I always talk about, and I always tell this to Joy, and on this list, or at least on the TV Tropes website, the way they word it is the rule breakers, like the rule breakers die or something like that. But horror hates a rule breaker. But for me, I always say this: the wicked must be punished in every horror film.
Yes.
Right? It's the people who are doing the bad stuff. It's the people who are having sex. It's, you know what I mean? It's anyone who's not pure must die.
They made a whole movie that follows.
Yeah, exactly. That to me is like one of the most that's the one horror thing I'm always like, oh, they're gonna die. I could tell.
Even the menu kind of gets at that, and it's
100%.
100%. Yeah.
Yep.
in a maybe a little more thought out way.
Yeah, good times.
Good.
And then don't forget
Great time.
Monster Clown. Bringing it back to art.
I will say the one that I really don't like clowns, not because they scare me. I don't enjoy clown content is my thing. It like never got me. I tried reading it like several times when I was in a big reading kick when I was younger, like horror reading kick, because I read a lot of Stephen King and some other stuff. But then I just could never do it. I was like, it just doesn't get me. I'm just not interested.
That's okay. There's scenes in that book that nobody needs to read.
Agreed.
Yes, absolutely. It's really effed up scenes, but it didn't even need to be in there if you ask me. But
Absolutely did not.
But what I wanted to touch on was the creepy doll before we get out of here. I know we're in a little long, but like
classic.
Creepy doll for me is classic, right? Like you can do it really wrong. And there's ventriloquism, which is one. I think it was dead silence, if I'm remembering right.
Oh,
so,
yeah. Yes.
The reveal at the end was kind of funny and shocking and interesting, with the wheelchair and like is using the spine to like make the human talk. I thought was interesting. That movie, like some of the imagery stuck with me too. But I love a good creepy doll. So.
Stop it!
I just thought
you're talking crazy.
Gonna happen. We brought up the Last of Us, and in part 2, we're gonna get the Rat King at some point. That's
my god! God damn it, dude! Fucking oh my god, bro!
I forgot all about that. For a second, I was like, "Ooh, that's gonna be fucking terrifying."
When that shit happened, I was like, "Ah!
What the fuck?" Yeah, exactly.
That shit was awesome.
Fine, just fine.
Fine, just fine.
Fine, just fine. Just fine.
Fine.
All right, y'all. Well, that was a good horror movie talk. I think we could probably talk about this for 2 more hours and dive down even deeper on all this stuff. But there's a whole Murders with Mertens podcast to do that on. So
tomorrow
we'll go ahead and pitch it off to you guys there, and you guys can continue the conversation. But at the end of the show, Joe, we do a thing called endorsements. Pretty much in lieu of ad sponsors, we just say a thing that has been making our lives better, or just anything that we feel like endorsing, whether it's someone else's content, your own. If you want to endorse your own content, go for it. Or like we've had people endorse like appreciating the people around you in the time that they're around you. It can be as consumerist or meaningful as you want it to be. So, Miguel, start us off with a delightful one that I see you have there.
I'm going to say, I did write down oranges. I'm just going to say vote, please.
Do that.
Not please vote.
Oh, yeah.
Oranges. Oranges are delicious, and you should eat more. Don't get that scurvy.
Good call. Good call.
Do we have a command for vote? I'm going to make that happen. Nope.
You should.
Yeah, we should.
I'm going to add that in there. Cool. Who's next?
Steven, go for it.
Yeah, this is a cheap one, but the Steam Deck or portable play.
Come on.
Video
Yeah,
games,
go
right?
for it.
Like as I've gotten older, I've really appreciated the portability aspect of like the Switch and like even games on my phone now with cloud gaming and stuff, and just like there's just something, especially a lot of us work at desk jobs and you're sitting at a computer all day. There's just something nice about being able to have like, it's not extra time. It's just time that you wouldn't have spent like in that position. Like I don't know.
Yep.
Portable gaming is rocks. So
yeah, I've been playing Metaphor.
I'm a gamer.
Streaming from my Xbox to my iPad in bed, and just having a little controller and just laying down and like getting a little bit more grinding in before bed. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Joe, what you got for us?
Well, Miguel, you kind of took mine. I would be remiss. I would be remiss if I did not endorse Harris Walz here in this campaign we've got going on here in 2024, because the downfall of democracy and the rise of fascism is the real horror.
True.
That said, my less serious shout out will be to physical media. The opposite of all of the cloud gaming there. But as far as movies are concerned, I am a big fan of physical media because you will always have that disc. And more often than not, if it's a Blu-ray or a 4K disc, it's going to look a lot better than anything you're streaming. And you may not have access to the film that you necessarily want to watch, but if you own it, it will always be there.
Very
Hell yeah.
That
Great
goes
job.
with almost anything at this point.
Yeah, everything we stream or own digitally is all just license that can be taken away from you at any time.
It's true.
So it is nice and convenient, though. but
It is. That's how I watched Evil Dead 2 to start last night until I realized that the streaming quality from Shudder was absolute dog water. So I just popped the disc in instead.
God, I need to have that. I need to have that on physical. I don't. It's so sad.
You should. That's definitely.
It's like one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about?
So I've heard.
I'm going to endorse Stephen Wright stand-up. If you don't know, he's a bit of an older comedian at this point, but he's the king of one-liners and dad jokes and just wordplay in general. I often, if I'm just having a bit of a downer or just a day where I'm not very enthused, I'll just like put him on the background. He's just the king of dry humor. He's like, I spilled spot remover on my dog and now he's gone. Like that kind of shit. It's really good.
He used to snort a lot of coke until the ice cubes started getting stuck in my nose. Yeah.
Exactly. One time I accidentally put my car keys into my house door and it started up, so I drove it around for a while. That kind of thing.
The radio DJ from Reservoir Dogs, folks. Don't forget.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Anyways, just throw on one of his old stand-ups. It'll bring you some joy. But also in the vein of what we were talking about earlier and with the election coming up, there's a really good tool that I just moved to a new state in Oregon, and specifically the Portland area has a very interesting voting way. So I kind of needed some actual research and information on how I was going to vote, because we do ranked choice voting here, which is very cool. Nice. But I wanted to make sure that I knew the ins and out of that. So Vote Save America, I've plugged them before, but they have a really good tool that helps you fill out your own ballot, and it kind of it just shows you the way that it's going to work, so you're prepped. So I think a lot of us have really busy lives, and you don't necessarily want to get to the maybe you're going in between work or whatever. You don't necessarily want to get to the ballot box and be like, oh yeah, shit, I don't actually know enough to make an informed decision. So take 10 minutes out of your day or 30 minutes out of your day and go look at their I'll put the link in the description, but their voter build a ballot, I think it's called, or something like that. But yeah, hell yeah. Wow. Jacob, what you got?
Sometimes opportunities come at you, so get your shit together, set some time aside and go after those opportunities. And sometimes you need to make your own opportunities. So reach out, ask people. Sometimes they'll be gracious and they'll want to join a podcast like Joe here. And sometimes they might not answer you at all, but at the same time, there's opportunities out there for you to make, and that people are throwing your way or that come your way. And all you have to do is set your bullshit aside and just go for it. So I'm going to endorse that.
I love that.
And then also vote, piece of shit. Fuck you, vote.
Hell yeah.
Dope.
Fuck fascists.
Well,
fuck fascists.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Fuck fascism. Yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, that was an excellent and spooky continuation of our October spooky month content that we've been doing. That every single week we here on Neon Pocket Dimension, we are doing some spooky content throughout the month of October. It's super fun. It's a good time to get into it. So thanks for being here and watching us with us. And if you missed us on the Twitch stream at twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension, catch it on YouTube at Neon Pocket Dimension on YouTube, and where it comes out on Friday as a VOD and podcast services around the world. Leave us a like and a comment. We really appreciate it, and it helps us a lot with that YouTube algorithm, which is also terrifying and getting worse and weirder as time goes on. Did you guys see the Kind of Funny thing? Where on the Kind of Funny podcast they made up some shit about Guam to try and trick Google's algorithm, and it fucking worked.
I absolutely helped out with that retweeting. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Damn.
It's bad, but it was so easy.
You gotta try some shit.
Yeah,
you gotta try some shit.
Such small pocket of the internet made a fact.
I know, and Madeline's retweet about it was the one that kept showing up on Google. It's terrifying.
Yeah,
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Their joke was that there was 150 Planet Hollywoods in Guam.
We should definitely just plug like whatever keywords in, like that's like trending, and just fucking do a whole podcast about that.
What is the Family Guy one where they are bored, so they make up rumors about celebrities, and it's like Rob Schneider chokes midgets in the shower or something like that.
What the hell are you talking about?
Demolition Man. Now all restaurants are Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh, I always say that.
Exactly.
Yes.
I always say
After the
that.
fast food wars.
There you go. Anyways, we'll think of some rumors to start on the internet. But yeah, if you want more of us, check out Odd Valley Studios, where this Friday we will be having the Odd Valley Tavern, which is our drinking show. Jacob and Miguel and Mochi Squeeze, and maybe a special guest.
Let me plug this really quick. What is our
Please,
topic? We're going to talk about brutal true crime murders, capped off by a game of, is this a true crime murder or is this a slasher murder from a movie? So it should be really interesting to examine how fucked up real life can actually be.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
And then also, Joe, I want to give you time to plug your podcast. And if you guys want a hint about what tomorrow's going to be about, go for it.
Sure. Well, tomorrow night, Jacob and I will be recording the 51st episode of Murders with Mertens, a horror film podcast, featuring Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. We have discovered that for the two of us, this is our favorite film in the Evil Dead franchise, so this should be a fun one. But yeah, check out Murders with Mertens on YouTube. You know, that lovely URL of youtube.com/@Murders with Mertens.
I hate because that, but
it's the worst.
So annoying.
Also available as an audio podcast on audio services around the world.
Great. Hell yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us and being here for the, these horror podcasts tend to run long because we get really enthusiastic about it, and that's totally all right. But yeah, thanks for your time, Joe. We really appreciate it. And
appreciate you.
Yeah, we will see you next week with, I think we have some there's rumors about some creatures lurking in the night, and they've been encroaching on Jacob's studio, I know. So he's been fending them off best he can, but I know you got to go out of town, so you don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. We could take a week off. So we'll see what these monsters can cook up. They were here last year. They had things to talk about. We'll see what they have to talk about this year. So be here next week, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Pacific time, twitch.tv/Neon Pocket Dimension. Which we like to call the Monster Squad Dimension.
And I heard they are taking submissions requests for videos.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
we'll see. We'll see about that.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Party
I
on.
don't know.
All right, y'all. We will see you next week. Thanks for being here on another episode of Neon Pocket Dimension.